Hello and thank you for clicking on this video. I'm so honoured that you actually want to learn a little bit more about me. When I first made this channel, the idea was to just talk about antiques and menswear history. So this isn't a lifestyle channel, it's not a vlog, it's not about me, it's not a personality channel. So I never thought it would be important to introduce myself. But on my Instagram and on YouTube, people are often asking questions about me personally and who I am and why I do this and what do I do. So I thought actually it's probably a good idea to explain who I am, because I'm sitting here telling you all these historical facts and showing you these antiques, and you probably want to know the source that stuff comes from. So I thought it was only fair to introduce myself. So sorry that it took this long. So I wasn't really sure what to say, so I compiled some of the most frequently asked questions from Instagram and YouTube, and also some that people ask me in my daily life, and I hope that by answering those I can kind of introduce myself to you and let you know who I am. So I guess I should start with a short introduction. So my name's Aaron, I'm originally from England, but I moved to Japan at the start of this year in January. And I'm very much enjoying living here. So my hobbies include, of course, finding and buying antiques, restoring antiques, and researching men's historical fashions. I also wear the clothing on a daily basis. Most of my wardrobe is made up of antiques, though there are things that I've made myself, and of course reproductions that I also wear. But I'll go into that a little bit later because I know there are some questions about that. Another thing that's interesting about me, I guess, is that I performed comedy for about 4 or 5 years in the UK. I started out with a 6-man group, and then I started to do solo comedy, some stand-up, and then went to a 3-man group, and I've also had experience as a double act. Focusing mainly on old style comedy. My speciality is slapstick comedy, that's why you can see Charlie Chaplin in the background here. So I love slapstick comedy and the golden age of cinema, and so I hope to perform more comedy in the future. So job-wise, so I'm a freelance business English teacher in Japan, and I have a second job. Recently I started writing for the Gentleman's Gazette, so I'm mainly covering the historical side of things. I'll be talking about the histories and why things are used and how they evolved and developed. So I'm writing scripts for the YouTube videos themselves. So far none of the scripts that I've written have been turned into videos yet, but hopefully soon you'll start to see those. So what I've done is I've written some of the questions in this small booklet here, a small little notepad that I've made. I did want to read out the whole question, but everything is on my phone, my Instagram, YouTube, everything is on my phone, so I can't read it and record at the same time because my setup is very cheap, so I'm using my phone to record. So I've written them down on pieces of paper and I've made them a little bit shorter. Now a few people who submitted questions to me on Instagram, thank you very much, asked for me to not include their name in the video when answering the questions, and because of that I kind of thought it would be probably a good idea to not mention anybody's name during the video. Also, there were some questions were asked multiple times by different people, so it just keeps it a shorter video to not mention everyone's names. But if you did send in a question, and if I do answer your question on the video, thank you so much for sending in the questions. I really appreciate it, and I hope my answers will be satisfactory. So this is actually the 3rd time recording this video now, so 3rd time's the charm. Oh yeah, one question I got, which I don't have in the book, was, are you meant to be wearing that hat indoors? And of course, no, I'm not meant to be wearing a hat indoors. My ceiling is perfectly safe, but I want to show you guys how people used to dress back then, and hats were a very important part of life back then. And it just so happens that I have to film indoors. I mean, I did film outside for the Edwardian summer suit video, and that audio was horrible, so I'm going to stick to filming indoors. So I apologise if I'm offending anybody by wearing hats indoors. Okay, so let's get on to the first question. The first questions are all about my life, or me personally. Okay, where are you from? Why are you in Japan? I guess I kind of already answered where I'm from, sorry. Why am I in Japan? Good question. It's not for the reasons that some people come here because of the pop culture. I'm not hugely into anime or manga. I mean, I have read manga for studying Japanese purposes, and I have seen some anime, but I'm not super into it. I don't hate it, but I'm not super into it. As you can tell, I'm more classical, and like I said, I'm big on old comedy, so if I have time to sit down and watch anything, I'm probably going to be watching some golden age comedy movie, like Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Fatty Arbuckle, Harold Lloyd, all the greats. So the main reason was because I fell in love with Japanese music. So I have prepared a prop. This is a toy of... I never thought I was going to be saying this on this channel. This is Kyari Pamyu Pamyu. I bought this when I was a lot younger, and she is a pop singer in Japan, and I first came across her videos maybe 2010 or 2011, and I fell in love with the crazy, experimental, cool music that was coming out of Japan. I'm into rock and metal mainly, but I do also like Japanese pop. and I found that it was so interesting. There was such a huge variety in Japan. So I spent every year for 4 or 5 years, I would come every year to Japan and I'd go around and see all the concerts. I'd go to see my favourite bands. I'd also go to smaller gigs and see some smaller bands just for some variety. And obviously as you travel, you meet people, you make friends, you get used to the environment, you love the food. And so I thought it would be a nice place to come and live, so I took the leap. Another thing is also comedy. I want to perform physical comedy, and while slapstick, there are people in the UK that do love slapstick and there is a place for it, but it's not mainstream like it is still here in Japan. And so I thought maybe if I was good enough, I could try and do some slapstick in Japan. So kind of a strange cluster of reasons, but that's why I'm here. What languages do you speak? So obviously I'm a native English speaker, but I also speak Japanese. To a good level. I'm not native, I'm not perfect, but I did work as an interpreter on 3 different occasions professionally, so that was a really cool experience. There are still some words I don't know, and there are some kanji that I still can't read, but I'm getting there and I'm always trying to better myself. How did you become interested in historical clothing? Oh, that's very interesting. It's quite a long journey, I would say. So it started off with this kind of music. And the philosophy of artists like Kyari Pamyu Pamyu was, I'm going to rebel against society and I'm going to wear what I want and I'm going to express myself however I want. And so I took that on board and I was like, yeah, I want to express myself through my clothes and through my appearance. So I started to wear suits and ties. They were wearing dresses, frills, Lolita kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. Not really Lolita, but kind of like that. And but I wanted to do that in a male way, so I decided to start with suits. And originally my suits were very kind of eccentric and colourful and didn't really look that good. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. And then obviously I was really into the comedy. I realised that these things were still available. Like I saw them on eBay, on Etsy and on Instagram, people were wearing them. And so it was from realising that they were still available that I actually started to buy them and started to dress in this style. So it was definitely a mixture of wanting to express myself in my own way. It was an obsession with classic comedy, and it was the realization that it's actually available. And since then I have a whole list of other reasons why this clothing is just the best, including the fabrics are great, the fit is great, it feels good, it looks good. I love not only the aesthetic but also the workmanship that's gone into creating each piece. I love the materials, and I love the fact that they've lived for so long and that everything has its own story. I'm trying to keep this brief, but I do ramble, so normally my videos are scripted, but I'll do my best. Okay, next question. Do you wear this on a daily basis? Yes, I do. I wear it on a daily basis, all the time, except for when I'm at work. I don't know if you know this, but Japanese businesses, at least my company, is very strict when it comes to business dress code, even down to the shade of suit that you wear. So I can't wear a lot of the suits that I own, and the style is too old-fashioned, so I can't wear that either. You can't wear anything distracting, and so I wear a modern business suit, but I've styled it with high-waisted trousers, buttons for my braces, and I also wear, you know, my monocle, my pocket watch, and some other Edwardian accessories with club collar shirts, Winchester shirts, just so I can still get that Edwardian feeling. And obviously when I walk to work, I'm wearing a hat. And when I was in England, I was always wearing this stuff. I didn't wear modern business suits. I wore my classic suits, my antique suits, and my reproduction suits. So I'm always wearing this stuff, no matter what. I'm always in this style, I'm always wearing my monocle. Yeah, it's a daily thing for me. This is my life. I am an everyday Edwardian. So yeah, it's led to some great adventures, and I always feel great. Okay, next one. What are your views on historical accuracy? Now, I'm kind of confused what this question is asking about specifically. If it's about individuals, then I don't think you have to dress historically accurately if you want to dress in this style. I think when it comes to your own clothing, you just wear whatever you want. Wear the aesthetic you love, wear whatever clothing you want to wear. If that's 1940s trousers with a 1930s tie and a 1920s collar, then do it, it doesn't matter. If, on the other hand, you're saying that you're wearing full Edwardian clothing and you're not, then I think it's best to just say it's Edwardian style or it's your own style. If you're trying to represent a historical era, if you're doing a movie, if it's a drama, if it's reenactment, if you're trying to be educational, then 100% you should be historically accurate, like there's no question. But if it's in your daily life, why? Who cares? Wear a morning suit with Crocs for all I care, like do what you want. Next question is, oh, it's a negative one. It's a, please tell me you don't walk around in public like this. Sorry, I do, all the time. In fact, even when I'm going to the shops, I'm wearing stuff like this. Just going to the grocery shops or the corner shop, I'll always dress like this. That brings me to the next question, because obviously that's a negative one. It's what response do you get from people? So Of course there are negative responses, like that guy. Like, yeah, there are people who don't like it. People who think that you should dress in jeans and a t-shirt and nothing else, and because they don't want to make an effort, they think you shouldn't make an effort either. But you're a free, autonomous individual, you can do what you want, so don't worry about those people. I've had some bad experiences in England. I've not had any bad experiences in Japan. Maybe just one. The only bad experience that I've had in Japan actually are from other English people or other Europeans that I've met. So, in England, people are a bit more vocal, so they want to tell you if they don't like what you're doing. Rather than just look at you and ignore you, they want to come up to you and tell you, you're doing something weird and I don't like it. And so it gets a bit too much sometimes, but mostly it's been an amazing response, and people are very open, and they're very kind, they're very interested, and they ask lots of questions, and I've had a lot of great compliments over the years. In Japan, people aren't that outspoken about things they don't like. Mainly the thing that happens in Japan is people just look at me, they'll just stare, and they'll look away. And the thing with staring is that you don't know why people are staring. They could like it, they could hate it, or they could be interested, or they could just be confused. Most of the time people will look at me and I notice that they'll gesture like this to their friends. And it's like they're just trying to figure out how I hold a monocle in my eye. Because people don't wear monocles in Japan. Where I lived in England, and I kid you not, there were 4 people that wore, I was one of them, so there were 3 other people that wore monocles in the village where I lived. So it's not that weird to me, but here it's very, very different. If I saw somebody walking down in Regency clothing, I would definitely stare at them because I would be impressed and amazed. And when you see something like that, it's like eye candy. You like it, so you want to look at it. You appreciate it, you just want to see it. It's like, wow, look at this effort, look at this amazing cut, look how great this is. This guy's great, he looks amazing, awesome. You want to look, and it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. So if you go out and people are looking at you, always assume it's positive, unless they say something nasty. And if they do, well, in my philosophy, everybody is on the same level. Everybody is right here on the same level. But if somebody decides to go out of their way to make somebody else unhappy, such as heckling a stranger in the street because they're wearing a boater hat, then they instantly lower their status. So they've already done themselves a disservice, and they've already kind of insulted themselves. So I don't feel any need to go down to their level or to insult them or make them feel any worse. They've already done that to themselves. They've already insulted themselves enough just by showing that they would do that. So ignore the nasty comments and just keep thinking about the lovely things that people say. In terms of like response in Japan, I've been on Japanese TV, and I was interviewed not for my clothes, but because I was wearing these clothes. And I've also been interviewed in a magazine which is talking all about these clothes. Okay, so general stuff, work, advice about life. I'm a bit too young, really, to give advice about life. I'm in my early 20s. I don't really have any advice, except just do what you want, keep smiling, and ignore the nasty people. I know it's easier to say than do it, but I'm a living example, right? I do it all the time, so just do what you love. Okay, how did you start learning about historical menswear? Good question. I guess the first way is to look at primary sources, look at photographs, look at fashion plates from the time, look at old films. Old movies are fun to watch and you can see cool clothing. Obviously, Chaplin and other clowns of the era, they're wearing clown clothes, so it's not exactly representative of what people were wearing, but the people in the background often wear normal clothes because they have to differentiate themselves from the clown. So watch those, then look at fashion plates, look at magazines, look at catalogues. Catalogues are great because they show you what's popular now because the businesses are trying to sell it, and you can get a vague idea of what people are wearing and the cut of the clothes. Don't watch period dramas to get historical information because that is an interpretation of what people were wearing. Always go for the primary source. Okay, the camera angle might have changed because my video memory is very low. So the next set of questions is about vintage stuff, so vintage related questions. When did you start dressing vintage? How has your style changed? So it must be about 5 or 6 years ago, and like I say originally, very flamboyant and modern stuff, like with kind of jackets that had like contrasting sleeves, that kind of weird stuff. And over the years it became more classic. I started with charity shops, you know, buying more classic clothing, and I was wearing kind of old man clothing, you could say. And then I found the period that I really wanted to dress in and that really fit my aesthetic. And then I started buying vintage and antique stuff. And it took a long time. It's taken about 3 years to build this wardrobe, a wardrobe which I'm very happy with. I've only recently stopped looking every day online for antique clothes. Like, you really have to hunt. You can get notifications sent to you and stuff like that, but yeah, recently, maybe the past few months, I've been very satisfied with my wardrobe. Who inspires your style the most? It's hard to say. Obviously, when you see pictures and when you see old films, old movie stars, they really inspire me. But I would say the most inspirational people for me are the people that I follow on Instagram, my friends on Instagram. Some of them I've met in real life, some of them I haven't. You know, I'm always learning new things. I'm seeing the kind of things that they're buying in antique markets, that they find in thrift stores, the things that they make themselves. And looking at their style inspires my style. So yeah, my friend said, we were having a discussion about whether we think our wardrobes represent the kind of variety that people of the time period would have had. So like evening wear, business wear, casual wear, sportswear, all that kind of stuff. Do we have a good representation of a wardrobe back then? And my friend said, well, Aaron, you have a very conservative middle class wardrobe at the moment. I don't think you fully cover it. And I think, yeah, that's fair enough. Most of the stuff I wear and I own, most of the stuff in my wardrobe are original antiques. They usually tend to be a little bit more on the formal side. In fact, they're usually always formal. So I have tailcoats, frock coats, and very formal three-piece suits. And until I can start making my own stuff, I probably won't have much sportswear. But yeah, they definitely inspire me to do more, to try and widen my range. So yeah, my friends, and I'll put some Instagram links down below. Okay, so what's your number one tip for people who are starting to get into vintage? That's a great question. Well, I would say start small. Try and test the water, see what you're comfortable with. Now, like I say, this wardrobe is a huge investment. It does cost money. You have to ship things from all over the world. You have to bid on auctions, and you can get carried away sometimes. And it's all very difficult to find. So I would say don't go diving straight in, spending all your money on things. Just take it slowly. Buy small things. Maybe change your glasses to some vintage frames. Maybe buy some vintage shoes. Maybe get some vintage trousers. Maybe try a detachable collar shirt with your normal work suit. Just try smaller things and try cheap things. Go to charity shops. Go to antique markets. And just buy small things for cheap prices and wear them and see how comfortable you feel. If you wear a suit to work every day, then you'll feel comfortable in a suit. If you don't, but you do own a suit, or you can get one very cheaply, then put on a suit and go and do something normal, like go grocery shopping, go for a walk down the park. Just get comfortable wearing a suit outside of formal situations and see how you feel. And then you can start spending a little bit more money on vintage things, maybe things from the 50s and the 40s, you know, vintage things. Start to get a feel for that. And then you can go, and when you're absolutely sure that this is what you want to do and that you'll be comfortable wearing this, because not everybody will be, then you can start spending the big money on vintage stuff and spending a lot of time researching and trying to find original garments. Also, you might want to make your own garments. So yeah, start small. Make sure you're comfortable, build it up. Okay, I know the bowler hat is your favourite hat, but why and what makes vintage hats cool? Yes, the bowler hat is my favourite hat. I guess apart from it being kind of elegant and also very durable, it's of course the comedians that I love. Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy are my favourite comedians, and they often wear bowler hats, so I always saw it as the kind of comedy essential. For me, for my performances, I always had a hat. And yeah, I love the bowler hat. I think what makes vintage hats better is the craftsmanship. It's that a hatter has made that hat by hand. It's pressed by hand, it's shaped by hand. It's probably not sewn by hand, it's probably machine sewn, but at least it's sewn. Whereas modern hats, they're kind of made of a wool. So this is a fur felt, this is probably rabbit fur. Whereas you'll get a wool felt. In the modern hats will be a wool felt that's been treated with some glue chemicals, which will be steamed over a mould, like a full mould. There'll be no blocking or anything, just a full mould in S, M and L. And then they won't get the Dorsey curl, the pencil roll, which has to be done by hand, very tight, beautiful pencil roll. They won't have that, they'll just leave the brim kind of standing. Then they'll sew a ribbon around it, then they'll glue everything else in, the lining will be glued in, the hat band will be probably sewn in, and then you have a ribbon glued on. So they're very cheap and they don't look very nice. So I always prefer vintage hats. Sorry, any contemporary hat makers. Blakesby Hats, for example, is a fantastic contemporary hat maker. But the ones that you find in department stores, I wouldn't. How often do you wash your clothes? This is a great question. This might be surprising for some people, because if you're used to fast fashion, you're used to polyester stuff, you probably wash your clothes every day after every use. But like a pair of jeans, you're not meant to wash them after every use. As long for vintage clothes, as long as you're wearing the correct underwear, which means an undershirt and obviously underpants or long johns, you will be absolutely fine. You don't have to wash your clothes as often as you think. Wash the underwear after every use, of course, because that's the most dirty. But with the shirts, they're protected by the underwear. And also if you've got detachable collars and cuffs, then the shirt's not going to get dirty very easily. I was talking to some friends who wear this kind of clothing, and I think we agreed 3 to 4 times. You can probably wear a shirt 3 to 4 times before it gets soiled. Then you can wash it. Yeah, you can do that in the machine, or I hand wash the things that are more delicate, especially the collars. Collars, again, the starch is obviously meant to make them stiff, but it does protect them from being soiled. You can kind of just wipe that sweat off with a towel. So yeah, maybe 4 or 5 times for a collar. Reproduction washable collars, probably 3 or 4 times, until if you see them going yellow and getting soiled, then you should wash them. Suits are the same. Wool suits, especially fully natural wool suits, they're made of hair. They're made of wool. So they will clean themselves. The most you have to do is just hang them up, air them out, let them air, and they will clean themselves. If they get really dirty or you've worn them for many, many times in a row, then you can dry clean them. But it shouldn't be that often, really. Okay, so the next question was, how do you clean your suits? Sorry, I just answered that one. Why do you wear clip-on ties so often? Okay, so here's the thing. Since neckties have been around, clip-on ties have also been around. So historically, people were wearing clip-on ties. And it just so happens that if you're looking for really accurate ties that represent the era well, then the antiques you'll find will probably be clip-on ties, because the silk scarves and ties that people used to tie themselves either broken or lost or unrecognizable. But the clip-ons, they always look historically accurate because they're pre-made. They are made in the shape and style that was popular back then. So why would you not utilize that? I used to wear originals, but they're so old and fragile that I've stopped, and I either make my own or I have some that my friends have made. This one was made by Michiel. And it's way easier. When you're wearing a stiff collar, trying to get a tie under is very difficult. But check out my how to wear detachable collars and cuffs video, because you can see just how much goes into wearing a tie with one of these collars. How do you go to the bathroom, and how did people do it historically? Like I said, I've cut some of these questions down, so this one was quite long. But yeah, if I want to go to the toilet, obviously I have to pull down my trousers, right? If I'm wearing a belt, that's easy. Undo the belt, pull down the trousers. But I'm not. I'm wearing braces, which are attached not by clips, but by buttons. Now, clips are historically accurate for this time period, so you could wear clip-on braces if you want, but I don't. I wear button braces. And I'm wearing a jacket, and I'm wearing a waistcoat. So, I have to take off the jacket, I have to take off the waistcoat, only then can I take the braces down from my shoulders. Okay? So, of course I have to take that off. Now, I've been to some very old buildings in England where they have original crapper toilets, and on the doors there's usually hooks. If not 1, then 2 or 3. So you can always hang your stuff up there. Hang up your hat, hang up your jacket. Modern toilets, yeah, there's not many hooks around, but you do have to, there's no other way. You have to take the jacket and the waistcoat off, and you have to hang it somewhere. So either hang it on the door hinge, on the door handle, anything, on the lock, whatever you can hang it on if there's no hooks. Now, it's funny that that question was asked because I do have a video on Victorian trousers coming up. I've written the script for it, I just need to film it, and we will discuss how to go to the toilet and the pain of going to the toilet whilst wearing these kind of clothes. Next question is, do you prefer big or small tie knots? I don't really mind. It depends on what era I'm wearing. But personally, I do prefer smaller knots. I think they look a bit more elegant and it just looks nicer, I think. So I do think I prefer smaller knots. But then some of the tech ties I own have very big knots, and I also think they look very elegant as well. I will be going into a video about ties and stuff, so hopefully I can start, in that video I'll talk about all the different eras and the different ties and how they wore their collars and waistcoats to complement them. Is your mask period? So this was a very long question, but it was basically asking if the mask in my Edwardian summersuit video was a period mask, like as seen in the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. And they also asked, where can I find a period mask? And if I can't buy them, then how can I make one? Because they want to wear all period. Now, mine are absolutely modern, okay? 100% modern. Medical supplies, personal protective equipment, and medicine are something I will not compromise on, okay? I like the antique lifestyle, I like antique furniture, I like antique clothing, but I will not compromise on medical stuff. I would not recommend getting a period mask. I don't know what they made them out of then. Bernadette did a whole video on personal protective equipment, so that would be a good one to go and check out. But personally, I wouldn't wear a historically accurate period mask. I trust that science and medicine has come a long way. Even if clothes manufacturing has become worse over time, medicine and science, I'm sticking with the modern stuff. I love my phone, I love my computer, I love video games, and I love modern medicine. So I'm sorry, I don't know where you can buy those, and I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, next section are video questions. Questions about my videos. So the first one is, why do your videos take so long? There's a few reasons why my videos take so long. The first one is it takes a lot of research. I want to present to you only the historical fact. With the history of men's clothing in general, there's very limited sources out there. And so what I try to do is I try to collect a lot of information from friends, from experts, from other historians, and I'll also do my own research, of course, with the things that I have available and the things that are available online. And I want to make sure that I always get the absolute truth out there. I don't want to make any mistakes, and if I do, then of course I'll let you know. And so the research takes a long time. Also, I'm working 2 jobs, and because of the situation that we're in, I have to work a lot of hours to make up for the business that has been lost. So I am working a lot, and so I haven't been getting the videos out as often as I would like. Second reason, probably the biggest reason, is that I live in a share house, unfortunately, and this share house has over 100 people living in it. My bedroom is teeny tiny, my equipment is terrible, I'm sitting on my bed. Behind that wall, there's another person, there's a room, and then literally behind the camera is another wall, a paper-thin wall. So if I'm talking at this level, which I need to record a video, then they can hear me. And so I can't do it at night when I come home from work, because I'm going to be annoying them all night, and they're going to hear me keep repeating myself every time I make a mistake. So I try to just do it on the weekends, and hopefully when I move out of this place and I have my own place, I'll be able to record videos much more freely, and I can also record in the night. Especially as I only have one light, I need some light from the window. Also, there's a lot of noise interference. If somebody gets up to go to the toilet, their door, the big heavy door, swings and crashes open, and you hear them walking down the corridor. Then the toilet door opens and goes, so it's really loud. Not to mention, I live next to a fire station. I live next to a hospital where they deploy ambulances, and I live next to a police station. So all of those very loud vehicles, and God bless them for what they do, but they come out and they make a lot of noise outside the window, so constant noise pollution. The next question is, there's so many questions about the crooked picture in my Monocle. I think it's the Monocle video, it might be in the Bibs video as well. But yeah, so that was a weird one. I was living with a friend at that time because I was preparing to move to Japan, and it was his picture. I don't know. I didn't know it was crooked. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that upset you so much. I didn't know it was crooked, and it wasn't my house, so I wasn't going to go and rearrange things or take his pictures off the wall. So I'm really sorry about the crooked picture. Hope that isn't crooked. It probably is, but you know, it shouldn't annoy you too much because it's just leaning against a suitcase. Okay, this is about what videos I'll make. Will you make videos about footwear, such as boots and spats? Yes, absolutely. I've got spats, I've got some lovely antique boots that I still need to get shipped over from England. So once all of that has arrived in Japan, I will definitely be making videos about spats and boots and antique footwear. Will you be making videos about Ponce? Yeah, like my Monocle video, I can show my Ponce collection. I'd love to talk about those. Again, I'm still waiting for them to be shipped over from England, same as my silk top hats. I'm waiting for those to come from England. So once they arrive, I'll absolutely make videos on those and showcase the collection. Okay, what are your thoughts on period dramas, Boardwalk, Peaky Blinders, Downton Abbey? Yeah, sure. So I've seen all of those. Boardwalk I saw a long time ago, before I even thought about wearing. I think I was still a child when Boardwalk first came out, so I don't remember the clothing that well. I think like they have good pieces. They also have some inaccurate pieces. They have some things that could be done better. But as shows go, I really enjoy the style and the aesthetic. I love seeing those eras come to life in new ways and have new experiences as audiences. And I love that people are able to connect with those dramas, and it inspires them to dress in this era. So yeah, sure, I love them. Why not? Maybe soon I'll make a video about, you know, analysing some of the historical inaccuracies. But until then, yeah, sure, I like dramas. Also, the English game came out. I don't like football, but I just watch it for the clothes. Okay, these questions are mainly centred around monocles. At the moment, my monocle video is the most popular. I think it's got nearly 10,000 views now, so thank you very much, everybody. Apparently, the Umbrella Academy series helped with that. I think the monocle plays a vital role in that series. So, where can I get a monocle? So, monocles are pretty rare things to come by. You can either buy them from contemporary places. I think Vision Express offers monocles in England. I think Monocle Madness and Nearsights are websites that sell modern monocles. Darcy Clothing also stock monocles. I think if you're starting out, then don't start spending lots of money on antique monocles, and go for the cheaper monocle options that are out there that can come in your prescription. If you're going to wear a monocle, it has to be in your prescription. So mine's in my prescription. Like I said, one eye can see one thing, this eye can see another thing. So this is for close-up, this eye is for distance. Brain mixes them together, makes it perfect. Don't wear anything that's not your prescription, it's dangerous. So this one is actually custom made for me, because I have very long eyelashes and my eyelashes often touch the monocle. Also, I have a small face. I'm quite a small person. I needed a smaller monocle, so I had this one custom made, so there's always that option as well. Okay, so somebody said, do you have any tips on wearing a monocle with casual clothing? That's really interesting. So I obviously wear this kind of stuff every day, so the monocle kind of goes with it. Some people probably think it looks a bit costumey, but yeah, you can wear this stuff with casual clothes. So just make sure, whatever you're wearing, make sure you have a pocket somewhere near here. Because I assume you're not going to wear this kind of lanyard with a string. If you're not wearing an ear hook, then you're going to have it on a string or a ribbon. You don't want that jumping about, banging about everywhere. So make sure you have a t-shirt or a polo shirt or just a normal shirt that has a pocket, so you can put the monocle in there and it can be safe. Yeah, wear it with casual clothing, why not? I actually saw a man where I used to live in England, and he had pince nez, and he was wearing those with just a polo shirt, and he just had them sort of half clipped over his pockets so they were still on show. Okay, so do I have any more questions? I think that's the end of the questions. I hope that was interesting for you. If you enjoyed this isn't really anything historical. If you enjoy this kind of Q&A thing where I'm just talking and telling you my ideas and my thoughts about things, then yeah, let me know in the comments below and maybe send some more questions, and then I can do another Q&A video. Hopefully one that's a bit better prepared than this one. So I hope that gave you some insight into my life and the things that I do and the things that I think. And yeah, that's basically, I guess that's kind of what it's like being an everyday Edwardian. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate that you sat through this video and listened to me ramble on. And I hope it gives you a little bit more information about who I am, and maybe gives more context behind my videos. So thank you very much for watching, and end of video. Done!